Thank you, guys. Do we have any questions from the audience?
I have a question. Joy, how has your paywall affected your strategy?
Tons. So first of all, the danger always with a paywall is to take the deep breath and realize that page views are going way down, right? At least for us. So it was not unexpected that we get a lot less search traffic now. The Google's algorithms, send people to traffic they can see, and so we have tons less search traffic. The real, well, I don't know, I should have Elizabeth answer the question. She manages our homepage a lot. Just having to be conscious. We have a really funny paywall. It's unique as far as I know, in that it's not about how many clicks you get. It's that all stories are free for 24 hours, and then they move into the archive and are visible only to members. So we have this really interesting dance we do about promoting content during the first 24 hours, but not at hour 23, because if people you can't put something on Facebook that's going to be dead in an hour, or else you just really aggravate people. So we have to be constantly conscious of what people can see when, and making sure we don't keep things on the homepage that are behind the paywall unless we specifically say available to digital subscribers only and promote it that way. So it's affected sharing probably more than anything. And also just the way that we tease content, we want to be upfront about what is accessible to the masses and what isn't. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it does.
It's not possible with this model because it's not about the source of the click. Because it's not about clicks, it's just about time. So there's no way around it. So we do have, like you, things that from readers' content, opinion, obits, stuff that's always in front. But yeah. Elizabeth, do you have anything you want to add about that?
I think it is mostly about sharing. I mean, we have a rule, Social Flow is our tool for social media, and we have set it up so that everything drops out before it expires on the site. So we don't want to frustrate users, and so being very transparent is kind of our goal in that. But we're also kind of playing with this idea of what's exclusive for members or what's available just for members, and how to reach them and tell them that. Are they on social media? Do we need to be directing things at them? And kind of trying to answer that question as well.
And we will when we share things that are behind the archive. We can write a Facebook post in a way that offers information and then kind of says, oh, by the way, if you're a member, you can get more on that here, but where the whole point isn't the link,
Sorry, I'm going to jump in again. I'll say that we also think about the same night of that From Readers post was Miss Missouri is from Columbia. And so we decided to put together 5 things about Miss Missouri, and it linked back to these stories that we had written about her when she won and all of this stuff. So it gave people something to start with, and then still directed them back to a page that says become a member.
So we're much more conscious about, if this is in the archive, what can we, sort of repurpose or bring new life to in a new file so that people can still see it, but then get more if they click. And
we took advantage of the search traffic for Miss Missouri that helped those numbers too. If that From Readers post hadn't been there, that would have been our,
Yeah, Miss Missouri, that traffic was actually huge.
Yeah.
Again, on a Sunday night. And again, we were alerted because all of a sudden on the big board, we could see that a ton of people are searching for Miss Missouri and finding our site that way. Frankie, you had your hand up, another of our colleagues.
Yeah, the point I wanted to make is that Chartbeat really, so we have different kinds of content at different points. I worked as a night news editor at the Missourian for about 2 years. And so our content varied throughout the day. What Chartbeat allowed us to do was, one, we were able to figure out what kind of content was, particularly on social media, was valuable to our readers at different times of the day. And a story that a city government story, for example, would have been more of a daytime audience. An MU story would have been more of a later in the evening audience. And Chartbeat really gave us some insight that was valuable in scheduling social media posts.
One key for using all these tools for us is knowing what we're trying to accomplish. And looking in the right place for the right kind of information. Because there are plenty of Facebook posts. We use our social media very conversationally. So sometimes a Facebook post is not about driving traffic back to the website. And so looking at Chartbeat for that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to look at likes and comments and shares on Facebook. And other times, I can't tell on Facebook that anybody's reading it, but I can tell that they're clicking because it's just not social in the same way.
Do we have any other questions? One thing I think that you were talking about, it was when you were talking about repurposing some of the content that is kind of behind the paywall. Have you noticed that any correlation between trying to use that content in more than one way or more often once it is behind the paywall? And does that help drive subscriptions?
Unfortunately, that is also a set of data that doesn't layer nicely against the other ones. So we have people tracking subscriptions over time, but it's not something I have access to in terms of this was a popular day, how many did we get there? That's just not a step we've taken, although certainly if you talk about conversion and what you hope will happen, that would certainly be one. But no, that's not a step we've taken.
We do have a concept of a custom metric in the sense of passing that in. So it's something I should help you with. So you can pass
Hey, yeah, you're my new best friend.
the fact that this piece of content is being consumed by a subscriber, and then begin to see a completely different cohort of users at that point.
Unfortunately, there's not anything in our CMS or in our URL structure that indicates whether it was seen by someone who was logged in, and whether, if you hit a story and you're not a member, if you hit a story behind the paywall, you get the first paragraph and an invitation to subscribe, but there's no way to track that unless there's a way. We should totally chat. We don't have a current way to track whether it was seen by somebody who can actually see the whole story or whether it was hit by somebody who can't see it and left. Time on page is the only possible indication.
Are there any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys. Very good.
Thank you.